Good morning, students. So, today we're going to learn about the second functional area of management, that is materials management. Okay, and materials management is one of the most important functional area wherein there are two broad aspects to it, namely, there is purchasing and storekeeping. Okay, so let me just tell you in a simple manner. Students, in a business, first comes in the raw material, and then it goes through a production process, that is work in progress, and then the final end product is being ready. To give an example, for in a sugarcane industry, the sugarcane would be the raw material, then it further goes in the production process, and then the final end product, that is sugar, is being prepared, right? So, students, I'm sure also you have heard about or learned in accountancy about inventory, opening stock, closing stock. It is all related to materials management. So, students, in materials management, what they actually do is, so as informed, there are two broad aspects, that is purchasing and storekeeping. So, purchasing relates to purchase of materials, that is raw materials, machinery, even machinery, spare parts, components, etc. So, are required for orderly conduct of manufacturing activities and other activities of business. And what is storekeeping? Storekeeping is warehousing. Once we purchase the raw material, students, it has to be stored into a warehouse. Okay, and then that also has n number of things that has to be looked after, because when we store it into the warehouse, it has to be checked upon, and also we have to take care, we have to take into consideration about the theft that happens sometimes, or maybe it gets spoiled because of spoilage. So there should be insurance taken about for the raw materials purchase. So there are a lot of things with regards to storing as well. Okay, so store keeping relates to systematic storage of materials for safety and also for easy and quick availability when required. So, what does this mean, students? In storekeeping, also there is a system in accounts that we follow, that is LIFO and FIFO method, LIFO and FIFO, which means LIFO means the last in, first out. The raw materials that has been purchased last will be first out for production process, and FIFO is first in, first out. So, which comes the raw material that comes first will be gone to the production process first. So, LIFO and FIFO method in accountancy also we use it for materials management. Okay, so students, with regards to materials management, all the functions are required, like planning, directing, controlling, coordinating those activities which are concerned with materials and inventory requirement from the point of their inception to the introduction to the manufacturing process. Okay, so it's I informed. Now watch the diagram that's on your screen, that is storekeeping, inventory control. Yes, so storekeeping, you all understood about warehousing, right? Inventory control is LIFO and FIFO method, wherein we check the raw materials coming in, then we are using it for the production process. So purchasing raw materials is definitely we have to purchase the raw materials, store it, all that. And also, students, there is scrap and waste management. Okay, what does this mean is, see, students, we have also heard that Alfred Marshall, actually, in economics, he's the father of economics, where he told that resources are scarce, and everyone requires a lot, the demand is a lot, means are end, but the resources are scarce. So what we have to do is, in a business, a materials manager also have to ponder upon this, because he has to marshal all the resources. Okay, all the raw materials that he has been purchased from tip to toe. Okay, everything has to be used in an efficient and appropriate manner. Even the scrap. Okay, there is a scrap also value of any product. Like, for example, in your house there is a furniture. Okay, that after the useful life gets over, and there is still a scrap value for the product. Okay, so it can be sold, it can be recycled, and all of that. Okay, so students, with regards to business, every entrepreneur, or especially in an organization, the materials manager has to check upon the scrap wastage, the wastage is less, and he has to marshal the resources in the best possible manner. Okay, so this is all regards to materials management, and there are certain functions of materials management. It's a repetition, but MRP, what does MRP stand for? In materials management, it stands for materials requirement planning. Okay, so materials requirement planning means we have to plan how much materials is being required for the organization to run up the business. Okay, second, we have to, after we plan it, we have to purchase the raw materials. And purchasing also depends upon how we bargain with different kinds of sellers in the market, or wholesale people who are available, and then we have to bargain with them and we have to get the best out of best product. Okay, so I'm sure you have read it in the newspaper. I've seen it in the newspaper about tender notices. Tenders available, and there are bidding system. Okay, so in general also there are bidding system wherein there is one buyer and there are a number of sellers and they bid for it. So I'm going to sell you for 10 rupees. The other person will sell for 20 rupees, and the best bid will be selected. So that is how actually purchasing takes place in an organization, and it's actually a big organization. Third one is receiving and inspection of materials. See, students, here, when the materials come into organization, it has to be, of course, it has to be received and then it has to be inspected. Okay, what does inspection means? Inspection of the quality or the quantity of the materials. So, say for example, there are 100 boxes of raw materials coming into the organization. So then what they will do, how they will check, they can't check all 100, right? So they'll do random sampling method. Okay, so what they'll do, they'll just pick up randomly 10 boxes and then they'll check that. So if all the 10 boxes are proper with no defects, then what will they assume, that entire all the boxes, all the 100 boxes are proper. Okay, so that is the way they check the boxes. They inspect the quality of the material that has been come into the organization. Fourth one is, after inspecting the materials, then it is been stored into a warehouse. And with regards to warehouse also, it has to be taken care of. Okay, like in a warehouse, how the products has to be stored. And as I informed earlier about, they have to also keep a note on the theft. Okay, all of that. So internal transportation, how they will transport the products. Inventory arrangement and control, that is using the FIFO and LIFO method. So inventory has to be arranged in a proper manner. Okay, so that is how actually a business actually works. So first in first out, or last in first out. And then controlling the raw materials as well, how they control it as per the demand in the for the product. They check the demand for the product and then they control it. So then seventh point is materials handling. Okay, so similarly, when they buy the materials, they have to handle it also quite well. And last one is value analysis. Value analysis is basically, students, the raw materials that we purchased and their production process has been sold, and the final product has been made out, the finished product has been ready, and then it's sold in the market. So then we value it, how much raw material, the cost of raw materials and the profit. We have to understand it. Okay, because raw materials is a cost for the company, but then when we sell the final finished product, what is our actual profit that remains after deducting the cost from the revenue? We get a profit for the business. So students, that is all about materials management, how to in a organization, how a general manager or a materials manager actually manages regarding the inventory, the opening stock, closing stock, and how they purchase it, they store it. It's all about that. Okay, so materials management is actually, it's a basic function of every manufacturing industry, of course, because the raw materials has to first come into the organization, and then there's a lot of process for this as well. Okay, like even the materials manager decides upon how they can control the cost with regards to materials management. So that is also the thing that they do. And then a materials manager also follows a system which is known as CPM, critical path method, or PERT system, which is known as PRT. Okay, program evaluation review technique. You do not need to learn this, but I'm just telling you for information, students. Here, what does the materials manager do? They plan it. Okay, they programly in reviewly in evaluate the product. Okay, so then also one more thing is CPM. CPM is, they choose the most critical path method in how the production process has to be carried out, and how the materials from the raw material, it can become a finished product in the very less time, and the cost has been reduced. Okay, so this is what a materials manager actually decides in an organization. Okay, students, so what you have to do is, you have to go through the video, and I'm going to send you a text on WhatsApp, so check that. And that's it for today's lecture. So you've studied about materials management. Okay, thank you everyone.